my story, so I'm actually going to make sure that I'm keeping to this very critical timeline. Firstly, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me here today. I feel very privileged. Reach did a lot for me when I was a lot younger, and hopefully I can actually give something back. Right, now how many people in this room can say you've had somebody say you can't? Do you want to see a show of hands? You can't, you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, you're too small, you're too tall. Well, when I was 9 years of age, I was standing and I was getting ready for my first competition, my first gala. It was in Dubai, and I was standing there all ready, had my brand new swimming costume on, my hat and goggles on my head, I was really ready. And this girl, I saw her next to me, just suddenly looking me up and down, and I was like, what's she looking at? So I looked across, but she was still just staring clearly at my arm, and I was like, okay, wait and see if she says anything. She turns around to me and she goes, how can you swim? You've only got one arm. You must go round in circles. And I remember just thinking, gosh, it wasn't until that stage that I'd actually realised that I was anything different to anybody else. I'd never really seen myself as different. I just thought, oh yeah, my arm's going to grow back one day, it's fine. I'll be like my older sisters and, I'll have two arms. But no. But this was the point at which I realised that actually I wanted to prove her wrong, and I wanted to become, a great swimmer. Anyway, I was really determined to prove this little girl wrong, so I got up to the block and, bent down, ready to race. And I looked across at her and I was just like, do you know what, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to show you how I can swim. So anyway, I dived in, breathing, and luckily she was on that side, which is the side I reached to. Every time I was breathing, I could see her, and she was just slipping further and further away. You can do this. Got to the end, got to the wall, and I was just like, turn across. And first thing I really wanted to do is just shake me something. But even at the age of 9, I think I was a better sports person than that, and I thought, actually, no. Just, swallow that and think, I'm a better swimmer. So yeah, that was the moment that I really realised that I wanted to be a Paralympic swimmer. However, it wasn't just a Paralympic swimmer, I was going to become a Paralympic runner, swimmer, Irish dancer, which doesn't even exist. And also, hockey player, horse rider, anything you can think of. I'm a very determined girl from such a young age. Now, I was going to show you a quick DVD, but unfortunately, with my disorganisation, the wireless is not working in here, so it's not going to be happening, so I'm sorry. But the reason why I was going to show that is to bring it all back to the Paralympics, and obviously that was the big thing that happened this year, and showing that's how I got to that point. Now, normally I tell people this is the shark that ate my arm. It makes a lot more of an exciting story than saying, well actually, I was born without one. The kids' faces are the best when you tell them that. No, I'm joking guys, it was only fun. So yeah, that's obviously I was born with one arm. Reason we still don't know. But actually, my granddad was also missing his arm, but he lost it in a combine harvester. So it was always a role model for me to be able to look up to, and he was a real inspiration to me. And I suppose it kind of probably made it a little bit easier for my family because they thought, well, he can do everything. He was a European golf champion. And the England captain of the one-arm team. So clearly, it never stopped him from doing anything. Now, I've never been treated as disabled. I put a question mark by disabled because I don't really see myself as disabled. I'm missing an arm, something slightly different, but it's never stopped me from doing anything. Although actually, there is one thing that I can't do, and that's the monkey bars. Now, don't think that's really going to be a big deal in my life, and I haven't actually tried it since I was 12, and I keep telling the kids that I talk to in schools that I will actually go out and try it one day and see if I can do it now. But I was never treated as any differently. My sisters were treated the exact same as me, and they even used to tie my sleeves up. And I can see this as bullying, to be honest, but I'd be trying to work my way out of it. They refuse to say they actually did this, and they deny it now, and say I'm making up these little stories, but I'm sure they did. But no, I think it's really great that I was always treated as the same, and my mum used to find me with my dad's shoelace, lying in bed, and I'd be like, right, okay, I'm going to work out how to do this. And actually, I ended up working out the things a lot quicker than my sisters, even though they were both older. My mum said, actually, I learned to tie my shoelaces at a lot younger age because I was so determined to be able to do it. There, however, was a little time when I was self-conscious. I was also going to show you another clip here, but unfortunately, again, we don't have the internet. When I went through my teenage years, now, you're self-conscious about anything. There's a big spot on your face, you know, anything that can happen. So to be different and to only have one arm felt like the worst thing in the world. I was like, oh, boys are never going to like me, I'm never going to find a boyfriend, people just don't want to know me. And I really struggled through school, and I always used to hide it and wrap it up in my blazer, especially because always the New Year 7s were coming through, and they'd always be like, oh, what's wrong with her? And staring, and I used to really, really hate that. And I just thought, do you know what, this is really not making me very happy. Like, I'd go out on nights out, and I would always put my handbag over this side so nobody would notice. And I thought that people might think differently in that way, which is really silly. However, swimming, there is really nowhere to hide. Being pretty much half naked, there is no way that you can hide that I only have one arm. And this, I think, was the thing that really helped me to grow my confidence and actually realise that if people don't like who I am, then do I really care? I started swimming when I was probably about 5 in Dubai, because we pretty much had a pool in our garden, so I could swim whenever I wanted. But it wasn't really until I came back to England when I started competitively swimming at the age of 12. I was actually in Athens at the age of 16 in 2004, my first international competition, so really thrown in at the deep end. And there was no way that, I was like a deer in headlights, I suppose, walking around this village just being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Walk into the dining hall and there's free food, whatever you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anything. There's Indian, Chinese, huge McDonald's. I was just like, wow, this is so exciting. That was even before the racing started, so as you can imagine, as soon as the racing starts, I'm walking out in front of thousands of people, and I'm just like, oh. But the most amazing experience of my life, and it really set me up for my 2 Paralympic Games to come after that. Now, after I arrived back from Athens, I decided to improve my swimming, I needed to move, because I was getting up 4 or 5 in the morning and swimming on my own for 2 hours, which is really impossible. Like, it's a hard thing to do when you're with people, but when you're on your own and trying to do that, and your dad's on the poolside acting as your lifeguard, it's not easy. So I decided I need to progress my swimming and my academic studies, I needed to move away. So 3 hours down the motorway, I moved to a school called Kelly College, down in Tavistock. Amazing facility, great school. Now, before I went, I decided, right, this is the time when I'm going to change. I'm fed up of constantly covering my arm up and not being happy with who I am. And I got to Kelly, and the first thing I wore was a strap top. And I was like, do you know what? People can see from first thing that I only have one arm. And I've never looked back. And now, do you know what? I don't care. I'm like, if people don't like me for who I am, then really you're not worth knowing. And do you know what? I've never had a single problem at Kelly. People were so understanding, and they'd always want to come over and play with it and call it Stumpy and make up all sorts of names for it. So it really was just that changing point in my life, and I'm a lot happier now because of it. Things, obviously, in my swimming career have not always been plain sailing. I went through a stage after Athens where I came back from Athens with 2 bronze medals at the age of 16, biggest highest point of my life, and then to suddenly come back to earth and suddenly get glandular fever, which completely knocked me back for a good few months. Rather than being the one that was always being chased, I was now the one doing the chasing. I was always the national champion, and then I started to slip back. It was tough, but it's a barrier that's really important. These kind of challenges are the things that make you stronger as an athlete and as a person. Now, I then went on to Beijing. After all these things had happened, it was a real hit and miss if I was actually going to qualify. After the glandular fever, it knocked me down, and had anemia, various other things. Went into Beijing, and I was going in ranked number 1 in the world. So I was the one to get the gold medal. You know, had this pressure that I probably put on myself. Now, out of the blue, a girl from Russia had lost her arm, and she was suddenly on the start list. She entered a really slow time, so I was like, do you know what, there's nothing to worry about. My coach saw her in the warm-up pool, and he's like, Claire, you need to be wary of her. This didn't help with my confidence as it was, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is a new girl. But anyway, we went into the race head-to-head. I could see her starting to drift away, and especially on breaststroke, which is my main event. If you start to panic, then you completely lose water, and the race is pretty much over. So anyway, I panicked. I could see her slowly getting further and further ahead, and actually I just dropped back. So yeah, I walked away with the bronze medal, Beijing over. Really disappointed, seeing as I had that pressure on me to get that gold medal. But then we went on to London, and again things were not always easy going into London. I had a really horrible coach who actually told me I was pathetic, I was useless, I was a drama queen, all these things that really didn't help my confidence after I was at such a low point after Beijing. Because I had lost all the belief that I could ever win. I was like, do you know what, I'm not good enough, there's people out there that are better. Really irrational thoughts, but it's all, swimming is a very big psychological game, and my psychological head, or whatever I should say, was all over the place. I was not in the best place. But then I managed to work on that leading into London and competing in my home games. It was the most incredible 2 weeks of my life. Just walking through into the stadium, as soon as you walked out the tunnel, you could hear this buzz. But as soon as you got out, it literally felt as if the roof was going to lift off. I've never heard so much noise in my life. And all you could see in the crowd was red, white and blue, all the Union Jacks. It was absolutely fantastic. I can't really remember much of my race, to be honest. My 100 breaststroke, all a little bit of blur. But actually, when races like that, it's actually a good thing. It means you're on automatic mode and you're not thinking too much. So coming out and then standing on the medal podium, seeing all your family and friends in the crowd, it's just so special. I definitely had a tear to my eye as I could see my dad up in the crowd crying away, which was pretty emotional. Oh, I'm kind of done. I forgot to click on the slides really. That's my race stage. You can see my face was stressed as I'm watching in the relay. I don't know if any of you saw that relay, but we lost the gold medal by 0.03 of a second. The most stressful day of my life. I've had nightmares ever since, but I just really wanted the gold medal proof box. But like I was saying on that podium, at first I stood there and I was again disappointed. Now, as an athlete, I'm very harsh on myself, and you do tend to beat yourself up. You know, you can be happy, but not satisfied. And initially, I was feeling this feeling. I was like, you know what? I could have done better. And then I stood back for a second. I was actually like, I can't have any regrets. I've done everything to be the best I can be. I did a small personal best, so it meant that I swam the fastest I've ever swum in my life. How can I be disappointed with that? Like I say to children at school, if you know that you've done everything, you've worked your hardest, then you've got to be happy. You've just got to accept that sometimes there are going to be people better than you. Still want to go on to Rio to hopefully eventually get that gold medal. One day I will. But no, I just think it's really important to never have any regrets and you've got to be happy with yourself, otherwise you constantly tear yourself up and never actually appreciate anything that you've done. And I really want to finish there and just say, I started with that girl who told me I can't. She told me I can't swim. Well, clearly I can. Gone on to, get 6 Paralympic medals over 3 Paralympic Games. So really the message I want to say to you is that anything is possible. And take the in out of the impossible and become possible. Now, I don't know if there's time for questions or if you want me to do that afterwards. I don't know. I can't even see Nigel anywhere. Oh, there. Do you want to do questions and answers now or afterwards? I don't know if anybody has any questions. I went through a bit of a whirlwind there as well. I kind of tried to speed it up, so I was a bit conscious about time. So, missed a lot of things out. Yeah.
Project my voice. Might be an emotional one. Did your granddad ever get to see you compete?
No, he didn't. He unfortunately died when I was quite young, so it's just a shame. But hopefully he'll be watching from somewhere and be very proud.
Thank you. That move to Kelly College, how old were you? And was it a sports college or just a normal school?
Yeah, I was actually 16 and it was a sports college and boarding school. So it was renowned for something there, like Sharon Davis, she went there, a few other various Olympics, Mark Foster. So I don't think he lasted very long there. I don't know if I should tell the reasons why. If anybody knows something, please do that.
What was it like in the Athletes Village? Meeting lots of people and making lots of friends there?
Yeah, the Athletes Village is incredible. You're pretty much in your own little bubble. You feel like you're away from the rest of the world. You don't have a clue what's going on in the news, what's going on with your friends. There's a cinema in there, there's a hairdresser, so you can go and get all your hair and nails done, pamper yourself before the racing starts. But no, it's incredible. Just you're with so many like-minded people. You're all in there with one goal that's very similar, all being striving to be the best in your sporting areas. And it's just so nice to be surrounded by people. And disability doesn't even matter. You know, I'm surrounded by people with no legs, no arms, in a wheelchair, cerebral palsy, all so many disabilities. And you don't even look at the disability, you just look at the person and what they've achieved. And I think that was the one thing that really came from the Paralympics this year. Is people said at first they, were looking at what was wrong with them and what was wrong with the other people and, why were they racing? And they said once they got past that bit, it was just elite athletes racing one another, which that made me so happy to hear that. So like, rather than being like, oh, it's a one-arm girl racing against a one-leg girl, they're like, oh, they're all people which are racing each other, all wanting to win that gold medal.
Claire, do you work? And if you do, does your swimming contribute in any way to your professional life?
I've just started doing some work with the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust and Youth Sport Trust. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. Yeah, basically going around schools and trying to educate people about disability and Paralympics and just trying to show people that you can get involved and even if you might have disability, there's nothing stopping you. But other than that, I don't really have time for a proper 9-to-5 job. So actually I swim from 5 till 7 in the morning, and then again in the afternoon 4 till 6 till 6:30 maybe. And I have to do land training in the middle of the day, and then other various exercises, gym work, spinning. So really, if I was to go for a job, I'd be like, well actually I can only work from 9 till 10, and then again from 10 till... So it just... There's no way I can really fit it in.
Did you see Darren McDonald win gold at the Paralympics?
I did, and he was fantastic. My mother's Irish, so she was very chuffed with that. I think she sang his national anthem, but not mine. I was like,
Can I just ask a question? Don't worry, I'll just forget.
I can hear.
Firstly, I just want to say thank you because
it's not very often that you get to sort of see someone that you watch on television and made me jump around my lounge. So thank you very much. It was just huge excitement. I'd be interested from a sporting point of view though, do you think that the support that you're getting for future events, Rio hopefully, do you think that's improved as a consequence of London 2012? And do you think it can get better, or how do you think it compares to sort of able-bodied or the other Olympic athletes?
Well, before London, we'd never had that many people in the crowd. In Beijing, I remember they were trying to get people off the streets. They were just handing out tickets to try and get them to come and watch. So for London to actually be completely sold out, and I know people were begging to get the tickets, we really set the benchmark very high, and hopefully Rio is going to live up to that. And I know that actually Rio are very Brazilians are very scared. So like London put on an amazing show at the Paralympics, and the sport was absolutely fantastic. And I just hope with the more coverage that people have actually realised how amazing it is. And I know I'm very biased and looking at it, I think it's all amazing. And I hope you guys all do think the same as well. And the amount of people that have come up to me in public and said, actually, it's so much more exciting than the Olympics. We really enjoyed it because there was just another element to it. And you see, these people that may have challenges in their own lives, but you wouldn't even notice it, and they've overcome that to be sporting champions. So I really hope that we can progress on from that, and leading into Rio, I hope it's even bigger and even better, because why not? It's about time that we got the same recognition as the able-bodied guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really inspiring talk, and there's got 13-year-olds who are out on the trip at the moment.
Yeah.
You're going to be around for...
Yeah, after this actually I'm going to the creche, I think, to speak to some of the younger ones, and then 5:30 I think I'm doing question and answer. So I've got my medals in my bag, so I'm going to go show anybody that wants to see them, and then if any of you guys want to, I'll have them with me all day. As long as nobody can steal them. I just think it's absolutely disgraceful. That's what we got to do. I think I'm holding up everybody as well. I feel bad. I don't want to make you guys any later, so I should probably